And we are back. Thank you so much for spending time with me here on Daily Spark. I am Dr. Angela Chester. My guest today is Charles Gates Jr., and we are talking about his book of poetry. Now, you guys know that I love a good book of poetry. It allows you to really express yourself in a way that perhaps writing a novel does not. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier too, and Charles even says it makes you vulnerable sometimes because you are standing alone as the author, and I love that. We need to be vulnerable sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. We are okay exactly how we are. Now, Charles, my next question, and thank you so much for sharing some of your poetry with us today, is I know that with so many authors, one book just isn't it. You know, there are other stories they want to share. There's other pieces of poetry that perhaps they want to share. Do you have any books in the works? How do you feel about being an author? Do you want to write more?
Yes, I will be recording my story until the day I die. I don't see me ever putting down the pen or the laptop and just stepping away from it. It's my life, you know. But yeah. So yeah, I have written other works, and I'm currently writing a second book of poetry based on everything that happened after my life. From the moment the first book ceased, and I take the reader back to the beginning of my life, where the childhood trauma I faced pushed me on the journey that led into my first book. So that's going to be interesting. Other than that, I have a novel based on my testimony of breaking out of the occult and how God used that for my testimony.
Now, you mentioned that you have a novel. What's the title of your novel?
From Darkness to Light, with the subtitle A Sinner's Memoir.
From Darkness to Light. And is that already published? Are we able to pick up a copy of that as well?
Yes. If you go to my website, under the books category that I said about earlier, it actually is displayed on the same page. So it's very easy. Accessible.
To get right, smart. That is very smart of you. Make it easy for everyone to get part two. Now, the fact that one book is a book of poetry and the second is a novel. Did you make it an easy read for people to make the transition from a book of poetry into the novel? So should they purchase book one before they purchase book two, or can they purchase book two standing alone?
They tie in together, but not so. They're not weaved so close together where you won't understand one without the other. The novel does. My poetry is expressed through the novel. You see me writing poetry, and how I coped with that, and how it helped me to lead me on a journey, and how God spoke to me in that shed and through poetry to find the truth of who he is.
Now, I love how there seems to be somewhat of a theme between the two books. You have Darkness Before the Dawn and then From Darkness to Light. Did you intentionally choose the word darkness to make sure that people understood that you were going from one stage into the next, or did it just kind of seemingly happen?
Well, after I was saved, I felt like the Lord told me to write a book about my testimony and call it From Darkness to Light. And that mirrored my Darkness Before the Dawn. Darkness Before the Dawn is like my poetic story, my poetic journey. And From Darkness to Light is the story that happened, the literal translation of it. Although both are true stories and stem from the same coin, they are not necessarily, you don't have to read one to read the other, but I do recommend it. You get a full in-depth look at my life.
Now, I like how you use the word dawn and then you use the word light. Should someone, is it intended for the reader to pick up on the fact that, you know, the dawn is coming? Like, if you can just make it through the darkness, that morning will come. And then the next is purposefully, light is here, morning is here, a new day for you is now here. Was that done purposefully?
No, it just kind of happened, really. It's ironic the way it was organized. I didn't know what I was doing, but God did. And
absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, they stand from the same coin, really. But the dawn is the promise of what is to come, and the light is the light of Jesus. All what it boils down to, and the life we abide in and live in Him. And the dawn is like the transition stage, but the light is the embracing stage.
I love that. Now, you kind of talked about it a little bit earlier in our time together, that God spoke to you through your poetry, and that your poetry is what really kind of helped reestablish your faith and make you the person that you are right now. How intense was the spiritual battle that you had to go through to bring you to where you are now?
Yeah, there was a huge spiritual battle that resulted in my changing my perception of everything I thought I knew. Because I realized like my perception of reality was distorted, and I was seeing through a broken lens, and God helped me see through like many of those glasses and helped me see from a different vantage point that really enabled me to my life to spiral down a different direction. And the spiritual battle was intense. I had to completely renew my mind and my soul and mend things that were broken.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. And you know, it's so interesting that you say that you had to mend it. And I think that that's the issue that so many people come to, is that they get to the point where they understand that the mending needs to happen, but then they actually don't do the mending. And then they wonder why. They keep kind of repeating the same cycles. And that's just a part of being human. We're gonna get to those points where we need to take a look at ourselves and go, what am I doing? What do I need to do differently? And, you know, how can I make sure that I'm doing what God has asked me or called me to do? So you are so right. I had one author one time say that he was running away from being an author. Like, he just totally did not want to do that. He was like, no. He says, and no matter what, he's like, God kept bringing me back. People kept saying, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. He's like, no. And he says, for 5 years, I ran. But, you know, that year that I finally said, okay, God, fine, I'll write the book, he says, boy, has my world changed because I did what God told me to do. So I hear you. I hear you on that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's like, no matter what, we have to do what we have been called to do on this earth. All of us have a purpose. And when we walk in that purpose, it makes a difference. I tell people, it's kind of like when we're walking along a path, you know, there's people along that path, and there's somebody waiting for us, for each and every one of us, to do a particular something. Someone was waiting for you to share your story today. The fact that you're on the program is not happenstance. I don't believe in happenstance. I believe that someone needs to hear your story today. Not me telling it, not somebody else telling it, but your story, because your words are going to make the difference for them. Your words are going to be that light that they need to hear, need to see. So I think it is very powerful that each person be on and walk in that purpose. So that is awesome. Now, before I let you go, if I remember correctly, you said that you are not going to stop writing, that you are definitely going to keep writing, and you know that is your passion. Do you have any potentially new things. So we know that you have a book of poetry. We know that you have a novel that you have written. Do you have anything that's maybe on the back burner, anything that you want to release in the future? Do you have a teaser for us, or are you kind of on a break from writing right now?
No, I'm definitely not on a break from writing. In fact, it's gaining a lot more momentum. And I plan on writing books of poetry about my life story all throughout my life, as well as releasing a novel based on my journey of faith alongside the books of poetry. And I will be releasing them around similar times so that the reader can really get a feel for what I'm going through at the time of their release. So it's going to be a journey. And I also have like a fictional story on the back burner that I'm starting to work on, but I can't reveal anything about that yet. That's going to be very interesting.
Right? I can understand that. Well, you have shared so much today, and I'm pretty sure that there is someone out there that you have inspired and you've empowered to keep moving forward. So anytime you want to come back on and share about a new book that you have written, please feel free to let us know. We would love to have you back on. Charles Gates Jr., thank you so much for spending time with me today.
You're welcome, Dr. Angela. Thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to have spoken to you today, and to the listeners for tuning into this wonderful, empowering broadcast. I pray we both encourage and inspired you today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you again for being on. And listeners, as always, thank you for spending time with us here today as well. As Charles so lovely said it, we hope that we have enlightened, inspired, and empowered you to become your best self. As always, may God continue to shine his face upon you. May you continue to see his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are truly blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.